Autumn in the Northeast is such a fun season. We've got apple picking and hay rides, pumpkin carving, and of course the beautiful fall foliage. But what causes the leaves to change color in the fall? We're about to find out. I'm Jane Lindholm, and this is But Why from Vermont Public, where we explore the science behind the changing landscape in your backyard. I'm in Jericho, Vermont today with forest ecologist Alexandra Kosiba. Hi, Allie.
Hi, Jane.
So I'm holding up a bunch of leaves. These are all maple leaves, but they're all very different colors. What is happening that makes them all different colors?
Well, you have a few different maple species, so each maple species has different fall foliage a little bit, right? So you have mountain maple, you have red maple in there, and sugar maple, and they're all gonna be different. And then also each individual tree is gonna be different. So we know that one tree might be very orange, another tree may not be as orange, and that's just inherent to that tree.
So most of the time in the summer, we see a lot of leaves that are green. What's happening with green leaves?
So green is the pigment that the trees use to absorb sunlight. And so we see that in the summer. That means that they're taking in sunlight and carbon dioxide and water and making energy for their use. And so that means that tree is actively doing that. In the fall, when we get the days start getting shorter, they start getting ready for winter, that's when they start breaking down that chlorophyll, the green color.
Wait, so that's what the green color is? It's called chlorophyll?
It's called chlorophyll.
I always hear that word in science classes.
Yep, and so that's the pigment that is green and helps with photosynthesis. But there's also other pigments that help with photosynthesis. And when that chlorophyll starts breaking down in the fall, those other pigments show up. Those are the yellows and the oranges.
But when I see a leaf that is red, something else is happening, right?
Yes, so that's not a pigment that's used in photosynthesis. That's a pigment that the tree is actually producing in the fall. And we think of that as actually sort of like sunscreen. It protects the leaf from sunlight. When it's breaking down that chlorophyll, it will make red to allow that process to happen. And what the tree is doing, it's scavenging the nutrients in that leaf, and so it can reuse those nutrients next year. We do have species here that don't lose their leaves every year. Usually they are needles that they have, and these are adapted to withstand really cold temperatures and ice loading. And so they're very different from our broadleaf species that are not adapted to withstand those winter temperatures.
What's the difference between a really great foliage year and a just okay?
It usually has to do with the conditions in that summer. So how healthy the trees were leading up into fall. So when we see a really good fall foliage year, that means we had a good growing season. We also had the good conditions in the fall. That's bright sunny days that trigger the breakdown of chlorophyll with cold nights above freezing. So we want that perfect balance, and that creates those bright, vibrant colors we love.
We hear a lot about climate change. Are we going to lose our autumn colors here in the Northeast because of climate change?
Well, it might change the fall foliage season. So climate change is bringing warmer temperatures. So that means our falls are getting warmer. So that might mean that trees will start going into that winter dormancy later. And so it might push back when we start seeing fall colors. What we also know with climate change is we're getting weirder weather. So we're seeing things like summer drought, which stresses out the trees. Or we're seeing actually our falls are getting wetter and cloudier. And that's not great for fall foliage because it means that the tree isn't producing sugars, there's not sunlight for photosynthesis, and we see kind of dull, not as vibrant colors.
Do you have a favorite color? I really like the ones that, like this, have more than one color on them.
Yes, I love those too. The mosaic of different colors through the leaf. And if you look at any two leaves, they're gonna be different. You can't find two that are the same.
Alexandra Kosiba is a forest ecologist and assistant professor at the University of Vermont Extension. Allie, thank you so much for teaching us about the science of the changing leaves.
You're welcome, Jane.